Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking. So, as you've seen by the title, you already know what we're going to be talking about. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right on into this thing. Okay, so we're going to be talking about being in bondage today. First, I want to give you guys a good definition of what bondage is, and it's simply slavery or involuntary servitude. What's servitude, you might ask? Servitude is the state of being a slave or completely subject to having someone or completely subject to someone more powerful. So, you guys are probably going to see me looking down because I have some notes right here in front of me. So, just a disclaimer on that. So, we're going to go ahead and get into 6 ways to know whether or not you're in bondage. And I came up with these because these are personal to me. And when I was kind of evaluating my life, these are some of the things that came to mind. So, number one, if you're in a particular situation that you absolutely hate, you're probably in bondage. If all you do, number two, if all you do is think about how to escape or remove yourself from said situation, then you're probably in bondage. Number three, if you feel unappreciated and silenced, then you're probably in bondage. And that can go not only for like a workplace or relationships as well. If you feel overworked and underpaid, then you're probably in bondage. If you compromise your safety for said situation, you're definitely in bondage. If you've compromised your core morals, values, and integrity for money, status, or position, then you're in bondage. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. And first, I want to hit you with the scripture. It's Romans 6:16. Do you realize that when you present yourselves to someone as slaves for obedience, you are slaves of the one whom you obey, either of sin resulting in death or of obedience resulting in righteousness? Well, what's righteousness? I know somebody is going to ask that. So, the definition of righteousness is in accordance with accepted standards of morality, justice, or uprightness. So, basically, if you know you're doing wrong, if you know it's something wrong about what you're doing, then there's nothing righteous about that. And being in bondage is something that a lot of people don't even realize that they're in. Um, I was in bondage as well. I was in bondage, and I knew I was in bondage because I was constantly looking for a way out, constantly looking for a way out, evaluating my options, trying to figure out what else can I do to relieve myself of this situation. And it took me praying about it in order to find some type of deliverance. And after praying about it for a little while, God delivered me out of that situation. And I know it was God because I didn't have the courage to do it on my own. I was scared. And I didn't know what that would look like if I just up and walked away from this particular situation that I had been in for so long. So, yeah, and it only took a few prayers, and God, he was already all over it. So, yeah, it just had me completely oppressed. So, yeah, if you're in a work situation and you feel like you just hate, you loathe the thought of getting up in the morning and going there, then that's something you might need to reevaluate. Or if you're in a situation, a relationship, and you're not happy, and there's things going on in the relationship that you know aren't right, and you're being pacified with certain things, or um, you find yourself just doing things to satisfy the other person, you're in bondage. Um, and it doesn't always necessarily apply to like a job or a relationship or something of that nature. It can also apply to, I wouldn't necessarily call it bondage, but you can definitely be slaves to things like your phone, social media, alcohol, drugs, um, Yeah, I mean, because I know at my last place of employment, there was people that just couldn't be separated from their phone. No matter, like, they just couldn't be separated from them. Even though they had on a smartwatch, you still got a smartwatch, but you still got to have that phone in your pocket. And mind you, carrying around your phone at the place that I worked at was a no-no. You couldn't do it. It was a policy violation. But there was people that just could not put the phone down. You're a slave to that phone. Some people are a slave to alcohol and drugs and things like that. They just can't let it go. Or cigarettes. They just can't let it go. If you find yourself every break you got at work or every chance when you're at home, you're finding a reason to pull out a cigarette and smoke it, then you're a slave to that. And that's something you need to reevaluate in your life. I wouldn't necessarily call it bondage, but they're definitely cousins. Okay. So, but yeah, some people are in bondage and are completely fine with it. Some people don't know that they're in bondage, and some people are in bondage and they know it and they don't care. They fine with it because as long as they're getting something out of it, as long as they're getting something out of it, then they're okay with it. Some of these workplaces and these relationships, and they got you by the throat, got you in a whole chokehold, and you're okay with only breathing a little bit because you're getting pacified a little bit here and there. In the workplace, um you may get pacified with specific things. They're buying you. That's all that they're doing. You've been bought, you've been redeemed. And Isaiah 52:3 says, "For this saith the Lord, you were sold for nothing." Absolutely nothing. And how many of you guys even look at it like that? Like you're selling yourself for little to nothing. Little to nothing. And some of you are okay with it and some of you aren't. Some of you want out and just don't know how to get out. But yeah, I mean, and some of you, like I said, as long as you're getting something out of it, you're okay with it. And basically, you've been redeemed. You've been redeemed. They gave you something in place for your unhappiness, and it pacified you for the moment. And I'm gonna give you a good example. Okay, let's just say if you go to a restaurant and they take you to your table, you get to your table is filthy. They bring you your food, it's hair in it, it's cold. The service was terrible, they were rude. Um, but because of that, they'll say, "Oh, well, we'll give you a voucher for a free meal, or we'll give you some coupons for the next time, or you know, um, or a refund." You've been redeemed. Now, would you still go back to that restaurant after all of those terrible things happened? Would you still go back to that restaurant after that? Probably. There's been times when I've did it too. I've gone somewhere and the service was terrible, everything was terrible, and complained, and they give you a little coupon or a refund or a few free meals down the line, and you feel like you've won. You ain't won. You've been bought. You've been redeemed. They gave you something that pacified you for the moment, and you still went back seeking more from that particular person or service, business, whatever it was. And in relationships, it could work the same way. Um, like in a relationship, if your significant other has wronged you in some way, or you feel trapped in this relationship, you feel like you're in bondage or whatever the case may be, and they go out and buy you some flowers or buy you a gift or apologize or temporarily change their behavior, you've been redeemed, you've been bought. It's not real and it's not gonna last. And at the end of the day, when all of that fades away, you're still miserable. You're still miserable. And in the workplace, how that can work, how can you be redeemed in the workplace? Well, let me tell you. With bonuses, overtime, raises, promotions, all ways to keep you in bondage. All ways to keep you in bondage, because you're saying, well, at least if I'm gonna be here, I'm at least get my money. Because I said it too. I was the same thing, saying the same thing, in bondage. And realizing it, knowing that I didn't want to be in it any longer, but stayed because, oh, we gonna get that bonus at the end of the year, or I'm gonna just kill them on the overtime, and I'm gonna get my money. I'm gonna get my, I'm gonna get something out of it at least, and or a promotion or raises. You got a raise coming, so I'm gonna stick around for this little raise. You've been bought. You are in bondage, honey, sweetheart, Sugarfoot. You in bondage. And the quicker you realize it, then the quicker you can get yourself out of it. Now, I'm not saying all workplaces and all relationships are terrible and that they all have you in bondage, because that's not true. There are some workplaces that, has a healthy environment. Mine just wasn't one of them, okay? And there are some relationships that are very healthy, and there's no bondage or anything going on in a relationship. I'm just saying, for those who think that they may be in a bondage situation, it may be time for you to reevaluate what you got going on in your life. But none of those things are going to make you happy in the end, no matter what type of pacifying they're doing. Whether if it's at the workplace and they giving you a raise and a promotion, you are already miserable. What is a raise and a promotion going to do? Nothing but put more responsibility on you. And now you're deeper into the bondage. You're way deeper. And that was my problem. I felt, getting raises and promotions and, making more money would make me more happy. And it didn't. It only made me more miserable. And I can't speak for anybody else. I'm simply speaking for myself. But if anything that I'm saying here right now resonates to you and your life and what you may have going on right now, then you may need to reevaluate your situation. But what I was saying is, because I excelled on my job, and with the promotions and the raises and all of that, then that pacified me for a moment, thinking, okay, well, it ain't that bad. I've gotten a raise, I've got a little promotion and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, it only made me more miserable, because with that promotion came more responsibility, and like I said, threw me way deeper into the bondage than I was before, because now I'm responsible for all of this stuff, which causes more stress, more worration, and it just puts more on you, on your body, on your mind, and everything. And some people are fine with it. However, I wasn't, because I wasn't being compensated for what I was bringing to the table. I wasn't. There was no amount of redeeming you could have done. You could have, put me in head of the department, and I still would have been miserable, because I felt like I was compromising my morals, my values, my integrity. Every day I walked up in that place, I felt like another piece of me was being compromised. So I'm kind of dedicating this to some of the people that I know specifically that are in bondage and want out. So, when all else fails and you've done everything that you can do, to try to make your situation better, and it's still not getting any better, then it may be time to just walk away. Walk away, remove yourself from it. And for those of you that believe in God, go to God and pray for deliverance. Pray that he delivers you out of that situation, because that's exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. I went to God and I prayed about it, and it wasn't long before he snatched me up out of there. So that chokehold that they had me in, he snatched me. And they're still in the bondage. They are still in it. And some people just can't even see a way out of it, because they're just that deep into it. And this isn't only dedicated to the ones that I know personally. This is dedicated to anybody that may be watching this video and something is resonating with them, with some part of what I've said has resonated. Then reevaluate your situation. And if you feel you're in bondage, or in the workplace or in a relationship or in any part of your life, remove yourself from it. Go to God if you believe. And if you don't, start working on believing, because when I tell you, He can deliver you, He will deliver you and show you things that you didn't even know were possible in life. And you don't have to be in bondage. He didn't intend for us to live like that. He will take care of you. He will take care of your every need if you walk with Him. And that's all you got to do is walk with Him and believe. And He got you. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. So again, you guys, release yourself. Release yourself. Don't be redeemed. Don't be redeemed. Okay? Don't be pacified. Okay? There's another way.